President Trump wants to clamp down on actual crime, while the far-left anti-American liberals in the DHS and the MSM are fear-mongering about white supremacist threats. This is the end of Hour 2. It's Wednesday, September 9th, 2020. I am James Hake. Jesse Lee Peterson will be right back for the final hour of the Jesse Lee Peterson Show. Stay tuned for Hour 3. After the Jesse Lee Peterson Show, catch the Hake Report, thehakereport.com/show. JLPtalk.com for Jesse Lee Peterson stuff. JesseLeePeterson.com/show. Nice, huh? President Trump on crime. The president moved last Wednesday to pull federal funding, you may have heard, from New York City, Seattle, Washington, D.C., and Portland, Oregon, in a presidential memo saying that my administration will not allow federal tax dollars to fund cities that allow themselves to deteriorate into lawless zones. Right on. In response that same night, Governor Hr2 of New York, disgusting, awful person, last week rebuked President Trump over his threat to pull federal funding from lawless U.S. cities and issued a chilling warning that the president would need an army to set foot in New York City. What a disgusting person, huh? An update, you know about the Rochester riots, 7 nights in a row, per Fox News, over the black PCP druggie who dove down headfirst down a flight of stairs and ran around naked. And his brother called cops 911 on him. And somehow they're blaming cops for putting a spit hood on the guy who was spitting on the cops and wanting their gun and all kinds of mess. The black police chief claimed he retired yesterday, Tuesday. I heard the black female mayor threw him under the bus. So yesterday, President Trump tweeted, police chief and most of the police in Rochester, New York, have resigned. The Democrat mayor and, of course, the Governor Cuomo have no idea what to do. New York State is a mess. No money, high taxes and crime, everyone fleeing. November 3rd, we can fix it, Trump tweeted. By the way, high energy Trump spoke in both Jupiter, Florida, at a touting his positive environmentalism, not the nasty kind of environmentalism, for the most part that I've heard, as well as a rally, a peaceful protest, he called it, in Winston-Salem, North Carolina yesterday, making fun of Nancy Pelosi and the mask and shutdown hypocrisy and many other things. Where was Sleepy Joe yesterday? I don't know. What was he up to? Meanwhile, fear-mongering about whites. White supremacy is the most lethal threat to the United States of America. Homeland says. That was a Drudge headline. That's from a report drafts by the DHS, which leaked. A bunch of dumb liberals, right? It's not yet published. It was first leaked by Politico, which is an anti-American, generally, outlet. The earliest of 3 versions of the State of the Homeland Threat Assessment 2020 drafts reads, we judge that ideologically motivated lone offenders and small groups will pose the greatest terrorist threat to the homeland through 2021. With white supremacists, extremists presenting the most lethal threat. 2 later drafts replace white supremacist extremists with domestic violent extremists, referring to domestic terror, presenting the most persistent and lethal threat. And it says, among DVEs, domestic violent extremists, we judge that white supremacist extremists will remain the most persistent and lethal threat in the homeland through 2021. Ridiculous. Meanwhile, Antifa and everybody else running wild, creating havoc, and they're just turning a blind eye to it. Fake news from CNN that says Trump has regularly downplayed the threat of white supremacist violence during his presidency, most notably when he said that there were some fine people, which he was right about, amongst the what they claim is extremists who sparked violence in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017. But they're not the ones who sparked the violence. That would be Antifa and Black Lives Matter who attacked the whites. He also called Black Lives Matter a symbol of hate, which is accurate, and has regularly pushed narratives on Twitter that emphasize violence against white Americans, which is true, as he seeks to curry support in the suburbs. Right on. Last year, then acting Homeland Security Secretary Kevin McAleenan said last year the white supremacist extremism is one of the most potent ideologies driving violence. Whatever. What a mess. We'll be watching. I'm James Hake. Now on to Jesse.